The Spanish Civil War was one of the first conflicts against fascism in Europe, and many across the world took up arms against the fascist threat of Franco. Inspired by the Comintern, the CPUSA, and other leftist organizations, around 3,000 Americans volunteered to fight against the fascists. 3 units were formed from these Americans: the Washington Battalion, the John Brown Battery, and the Lincoln Battalion. These volunteers fought alongside 35,000 other anti-fascists from all over the world, 55 countries in total, who were also aided by the Comintern, with the common goal to make Madrid the tomb of fascism. The Americans were spurred by the fight by the International Workingmen's, the IWW, and the CPUSA, which back then was actually revolutionary and active back in the 1930s, which exposed them to the internationalist Marxist ideology. The struggles of the Great Depression and massive layoffs aided in the education of these Americans as they looked for something different. With this new Marxist education, they looked at the world abroad and saw fascism spreading its deadly grip over the world. The Liberty League in America, Hitler in Germany, Mussolini in Italy, the Japanese invasion of Manchuria, the fall of Ethiopia, all done with no issues taken from the West. When war broke out in Spain, many leftists across the world rallied to fight the fascists. The American State Department, of course, banned American travel to Spain, but 3,000 volunteers still rallied to fight and die against fascism. The Lincoln Battalion, commonly known as the Lincolns, was the major American battalion. As the Washington Battalion had so many casualties early on, they merged with the Lincolns. The Lincolns came from all walks of life: dancers, miners, students, unemployed workers, seamen, teachers, artists, salesmen, athletes. 60% of Lincolns were members of the Young Communist League, and it was the first racially integrated military unit in U.S. history, and the first to have a black commander. The Lincolns tried to create an egalitarian people's army with the officers elected by men from their own ranks. But when they got to Spain, they were given less than 2 months of training before being sent out by the Republican government to take the fight to the fascists. The Lincolns were first deployed outside Madrid to ease the pressure off the Republican capital. They held the line for long enough for the Republicans again to train their own army, but faced heavy casualties. The first combat they saw was at the Battle of Hiram, fought along the Hiram River. With no air support or artillery, the Republicans and the other international brigades that fought there faced an uphill battle, literally, as they marched across the valley toward the Nationalists. Most of the Lincolns' casualty came on the assault on Garon Hill, which would be referred to by the Lincolns as Suicide Hill. 66% of the Lincolns were either wounded or killed in this assault, but at the end of the battle, the Lincolns helped prevent the encirclement of Madrid and a swift end to the war. Following the battle, the Lincolns were given a brief break from action before they were sent to fight at the Battle of Brunette, but again took heavy casualties and lost their commander, Oliver Law, the African-American Marxist who was the first African-American to lead an integrated military force in American history. This is when the Washingtons would then merge with the depleted Lincolns, and they headed north to aid in the Aragon offensive. They fought in the Battle of Quito and won, aided by Soviet armor, and won again in Belchite, but the fighting was house to house, and the Lincolns garnered more casualties. The Lincolns continued fighting throughout the war with additional aid from the Canadians with the Mackenzie Papineau Battalion, and being merged with the Lincolns, and soon Spanish conscripts were added to their ranks to fill out their numbers. But as the war dragged on, more and more Lincolns died, and soon the Prime Minister of Spain ordered all of the international brigades to return home, hoping the Nationalists would send their Germans and Italian international brigades back as well. They didn't. The Americans of the Lincoln Battalion were sent to Ripoll, where the American government repatriated them. They received little praise at home, but serve as a reminder that fascism must be fought wherever it is. The Lincolns, in their time fighting, had a 22% casualty rate, the highest of any American battalion. The Lincolns had a song that they used as a chant to rally the troops. The song was called Harama. It was called something like Harama or Harama Valley. And it's short. Other people have done longer versions of it, but it's a short 4-stanza version of it is: there's a valley in Spain called Jarama. It's a place that we all know so well. It was there that we gave of our manhood, and so many of our brave comrades fell. We are proud of the Lincoln Battalion, in the fight for Madrid that it made. There we fought like true sons of the people, as part of the 15th Brigade. Now we're far from that valley of sorrow, but its memory we'll ne'er forget. So before we conclude this reunion, let us stand to our glorious dead.